We're going to talk a little bit about Afghanistan. Of course, we still have a number of Americans that are over there that apparently we are trying to get out. Joining us on the wake-up call this morning to talk about something called the Pineapple Express. It was a secret mission that was carried out by a group of special ops vets who rescued hundreds of Allied operatives from Afghanistan. He is a former Navy SEAL, and he has just returned from Afghanistan, where he was a part of Pineapple Express. Jason Redman joins us on the wake-up call. Jason, thanks for being with us this morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys today?
Hey, well, we're doing fine. How are you doing after going to Afghanistan?
Well, actually, I was not in Afghanistan. You know, the amazing thing about Task Force Pineapple, we managed to do all of this from right here within the United States, utilizing our contacts, our relationships, technology, our experience operating in Afghanistan and working along, and our knowledge of Afghanistan to make all this happen.
So you were at one point or another in Afghanistan, correct, as a SEAL?
That's correct.
How long were you over there?
I was there in 2005, so operating both out of Bagram and then went up into operating out of Helmand, down in Kandahar, so all throughout the country when we were there. But what's amazing about this is what Task Force Pineapple managed to pull off, but more what we're trying to continue to do now. I mean, the reality is, it's all over the news. We still have American citizens and so many of our incredible thousands of our Afghan allies who were provided a special immigrant visa to be able to come back here to the United States and to, be taken care of after they did so much to take care of us. I mean, these individuals are heroes, no different than, many of my fellow military heroes and guys and gals that I got to work alongside. I mean, these Afghans they would walk with us. They would train with us. They would fight with us. Many of them bled with us, and many of them died. And I think we owe it to them, and that's why Task Force Pineapple is committed to honoring that promise to bring them home.
Is it a correct term to call them what I would consider to be freedom fighters?
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, they when we went to Afghanistan, so many of them were under a very brutal regime, of the Taliban. And it is sad for me to see that the Taliban is back in power. And there's a lot of these individuals who, like I said, especially those who work with special operations, they were right alongside us targeting mid-level and high-level Taliban leaders. So there is a very high level of risk for these individuals by the Taliban. And, when all of this started to happen, I think many, our government put out a process called the Special Immigrant Visa process to allow these individuals to get out of Afghanistan and get out of that immediate danger and threat. Now the threat is only tenfold because prior it was just the Taliban was still operating within Afghanistan. Now, the Taliban has taken over Afghanistan.
Jason Redman joining us on the wake-up call. When we talk about here that Pineapple Express helped get them out of the country and that it was a secret mission, were they getting out of Afghanistan through the Kabul airport, or were they coming out in other ways?
Up until the last withdrawal of U.S. forces, Task Force Pineapple was helping individuals get out through the Kabul airport, through the Karzai International Airport. And pretty amazing how we did it. I mean, utilizing technology and real-world intelligence on the ground and knowledge of Afghanistan, the guys and gals. And it was a network of a lot of different amazing individuals, like you said, former special ops, our Afghan allies on the ground, and many of our former intelligence operatives. And knowing where Taliban checkpoints were, knowing where they could move, knowing, hey, under cover of darkness, you're able to move this way, but you want to avoid this neighborhood because it's got a higher Taliban presence. And then once we got them to the Karzai airport, connecting them with individuals that Task Force Pineapple knew on the inside to be able to get them out. And Task Force Pineapple was started by Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, and this initial process was started to get out his interpreter. And when they got him to the Karzai airport, the password was Pineapple. And to get him through that gate and to establish that, credibility, hey, this is indeed the person that we're supposed to be connecting with. And that's how it became Task Force Pineapple and the Pineapple Express.
Wow. Do you believe that you were able to get, as a group, most of them out, or are there still others that are in Afghanistan that are going to be on the run?
No, we are tracking thousands of individuals who are currently on the run. Many of them extremely high risk and high levels of whether they were part of the Afghan commando community, whether they were part of the special operations interpreter community, individuals who are actively being targeted by the Taliban. And right now, unfortunately, the borders are closed, and there is no way to get individuals out via air. So we are, right now, Task Force Pineapple is focused on keeping our people safe inside Afghanistan. We're focused on layup sites, safety, shelter, food, clothing, medical as necessary. And, we're working on phase 2, which is the long-term and hopefully much shorter plan to get them out of Afghanistan. And we are building relationships with Department of State and Department of Defense and working to get these people out. I mean, we know who these people are. We know where these at-risk people are, and they trust us. And they know that we're going to be here to assist them. We're going to honor that promise to get them out.
Have you had any difficulty dealing with the Department of State and the Department of Defense? I mean, have they been mostly positive? Or have you gone through the usual, I guess, what is considered to be the usual red tape?
Well, I think with any bureaucracy, and specifically our government, I mean, having spent 21 years in the military, there's always a lot of tape and a massive amount of bureaucracy. And I think a lot of people, a lot of my friends are like, man, you should throw this group, under the bus or that group under the bus. And Task Force Pineapple isn't concerned with that right now. Just like we did in special operations, there comes a time for an after-action report where we look at what went wrong and, where do we fix things. That the time for that isn't right now. The time for that is later. Right now, we're focused on the mission, and we're focused on working with Department of State. We're focused on working with DOD, and we're focused on working with this government, because this is not, it's glamorous to think that a bunch of ex-special operations guys could just rush into Afghanistan and save all these people, but that's not the reality. We could probably do it in, onesies or twosies, one or two different people that we could potentially smuggle out. But that's not the case here. We have thousands of individuals that our government promised they would get them out. And that's going to take a collaborative effort of not only Task Force Pineapple, but our government, because these are now government to government. Our ability to work with other governments, other nations around Afghanistan to move these people across borders. Our ability, and Task Force Pineapple isn't just focused on, hey, let's get you out of Afghanistan. We want to know that not only we get you out of Afghanistan, but there is a resettlement plan that we get you back to America. And then there's a reintegration and repurposing where we help you. One of the things about these individuals is they have an amazing, unique, proven skill set that was utilized by the U.S. military and government organizations. Many of them speak multiple languages. They're incredibly smart. They understand how our military and government organizations work, and we see a tremendous opportunity for them to continue doing so from right within the United States.
Do the other groups we're talking about, the DOS and the DOD, also understand how important they are and how much they could potentially help them?
I hope so. We're working on that, and I think that's an important thing to understand. At the end of the day, for me, when you say I'm an American, it means something. And I hope everyone that's listening out there, I'm actually working on a blog right now about that. What does it mean to be an American? And I think right now our country is a little Off course. I think there are a lot of people that don't know what it means, and they're trying to figure that out. But for me, having served 21 years of service to this great nation, it means something to be an American. It means we step up, we answer the call, we take care of those who took care of us. And our credibility as a nation is dependent on that. We need to make sure we continue that. That's why it's so critical we honor the promise that we made to these individuals, because it has deep ripple effects for the future of our country and our future relationships around the world.
We've heard a lot about equipment that has been left behind. Humvees, helicopters, weapons of all kinds. Is that true or not?
So it is true, but it's also, there's two different narratives that are going. So there's a narrative that how could the U.S. military leave all this equipment, this operational equipment behind? And people are reaching out to me saying, oh, the Department of Defense is lying because they're saying they rendered this equipment inoperable. And they're right. And other people are right. And here's the reason why both are right. So when the U.S. military pulled out of Karzai International Airport and we pulled out of the embassy and whatever other locations the United States was occupying in Afghanistan, whatever equipment was left, we destroyed. I guarantee that those pieces of equipment, which is a very small footprint of what we're talking about. The other side of what we're talking about is weapons, armored vehicles, and the helicopters that was given to the Afghan National Army by the United States of America. This equipment that we provided to them is not the same. So a U.S. government Black Hawk is not the same as the Black Hawk we provided to the Afghan National Army. It is a basic version. The downside, it is fully operational. And when Afghanistan fell and the Afghan National Army fell, they left the majority of that equipment behind. And unfortunately, it now is in the hands of the Taliban.
How much? I mean, is it enough? I mean, a Black Hawk helicopter can do a heck of a lot of damage, particularly when you've got a population like there is in Afghanistan where they're not as well armed. But that said, I mean, how big of, I guess, an existential threat is the operable equipment right now? Is there enough of it that it would make a huge difference or not so much?
I think it absolutely makes a difference. I mean, the Taliban having a lot of additional military equipment is an issue. And I personally am very troubled by the Taliban being back in power. I'm very troubled by the Taliban now having access to a lot of the equipment that we had left for the Afghan National Army. And unfortunately, I think the U.S. government and other nations are going to have to look at what is the long-term impact of that. The Taliban wants to be viewed as a legitimate government. The problem is the Taliban is a brutal regime that follows a very strict interpretation of Islam and very rigid interpretation of Islam, enforcing very rigid Sharia law. Women have no place. A woman's place is to be subjugated to the men. You don't have a place in leadership. You don't have a voice in society. You should not be educated. Same thing with minorities. Same thing with, homosexuals, anything like that. The Taliban brings a pretty brutal hand to. And that ideology is also shared with another common organization, and that's Al-Qaeda. And, unfortunately, those two organizations share the same ideology. So my fear is that Afghanistan will once again become a growth area for terrorism, and that's something I think not only us but a lot of countries are going to have to watch. For us though, right now, Task Force Pineapple, we're focused on getting these individuals out. And if any of you are looking to help, please reach out to your political representatives and tell them, hey, look, it means something to be an American. We need to honor our promise. We need to take care of these people that are stuck in Afghanistan and get them out. And if you're looking to support, through funding for us to both ground operations to get them out, or even the resettlement operations to help them get started here in America, you can go to operationrecovery.org.
Okay, operationrecovery.org. Jason Redman joining us on the Wake Up Call. He was a part of Operation, or is a part of Operation Pineapple Express. He's a former Navy SEAL. Why? Do you have any idea why or how it was that the Afghan National Army just folded as quickly as they did?
My estimate of this, and this is only my opinion, but
Sure.
I have heard other high-level generals that shared the same opinion, and that is, fortunately or unfortunately, we train both the Afghan Army, the Iraqi Army in First World warfare tactics. And First World warfare tactics is aerial supremacy. He who owns the sky owns the battlefield. So whether it's through helicopters, whether it's through jets, whether it's through drones, whether it's through imagery, whatever it is, you can dominate the battle space with that. And we train the Afghan army to fight that way. And all the way up until the very end, we were still in Afghanistan. They were doing the ground element, but we were providing all the aerial components. Well, when the U.S. suddenly pulled out, the way they had been trained, suddenly they didn't have any of that. They just became a basic ground-based infantry unit that had not been trained really how to do that, in my opinion, how to do that on a grand scale without the aerial assets. And I think without that, it led to the rapid collapse of that military force.
Wow. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and give the website again for folks that would like to support Pineapple Express. Also, you talked about your blog site, so talk a little bit about your website and let people know how they can find out more information, Jason.
Yeah, so operationrecovery.org is where you can go if you want to support the current operations in Afghanistan, both to help us rescue and recover these individuals, and then funding is going to be going to resettlement and reintegration of these amazing Afghan allies. And then you can find me at jasonredman.com. I am an author and speaker. My regular job, I'm an author and speaker. I speak on leadership and resiliency all across the country.
Okay, you speak on leadership. I'm going to put you on the spot, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What do you think of the leadership in our commander-in-chief in the way that this situation in Afghanistan was handled?
So, once again, I'm going to stay away from that right now,
Okay.
only because we want to work with this government. I need to work. Task Force Pineapple wants to work with President Biden. We want to work with the Department of State, and we want to work with the Department of Defense. And one of the things I learned in the military as a leader, and here you go, here's a good lesson as a leader, a good leader always looks at the end state, and he keeps his opinion to himself if his opinion runs counter to achieving the end state he needs to achieve. And in this case, our end state is to get these people out of Afghanistan, and we cannot do it alone. So Task Force Pineapple looks forward to working with this government. And it will be a tremendous win for this administration and for President Biden if he honors that promise and continues to uphold the credibility of the United States of America to get these people out.
Great answer. Jason, thank you for joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. We would love to have you back on in the future and kind of, stay up to date on what the situation is. Thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. OperationRecovery.org. Thank you, everyone.
All right, you take care. That is Jason Redman joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning, a part of Pineapple Express, getting hundreds of Allied operatives out of Afghanistan, former Navy SEAL. It's the Wake Up Call. Good morning.